And I love when people get into business just long enough to fucking learn a couple of words, and then they don't even know what the words. It's sort of like shit stain. They don't know what the words mean, but they start using them. Do you know he completely changed the fucking meaning of swerve?
What do you mean?
Shit stain, because of the swerve, bro. The thing that now people joke about. A swerve has come to mean some ridiculous, ludicrous, fucking shocking thing that happens out of nowhere in a fucking wrestling match that you don't expect. Because he didn't understand what a swerve was. When you swerve somebody, you're not drawing them in for a big reveal like at Perry Mason at the end. You're conning them. You're swerving them. You're influencing their thinking, or you're telling them shit that's not true to wind them up to do something where you get the better of it. But there's at the end of it, it's not suddenly, well, wait a minute, I committed murder. No, it's just you've taken their money and you're gone. And they're like, what the fuck? That's a swerve. It's a con. It's a fucking, it's a game. You're swerving somebody's head to do what the fuck you want them to do. But somehow it's become the swerve is suddenly Triple H emerged from underneath the ring and hit him with a sledgehammer. That didn't have anything to do with what the fuck was going on. Or suddenly the guy's fucking wife suddenly divorced him and married his next door neighbor out of nowhere. That's no. The swerve is the whole fucking, is the con job. It's the bunko scheme. Nobody knows that?
I think it's kind of now been accepted to be what he calls a swerve, because that's the way it's been used for, 20 years?
I guess, but it should be called something stupid that doesn't make sense happening out of nowhere. Remember when they would have guys turn on their friend or their partner or whoever it may be they were turning on in the finish of the match and join the other fucking side? But all during the match, that guy that was going to turn on his partner or his friend and join this other group, this group of heels or whatever, this guy has been beating the shit out of the fucking heels all through the fucking match. And then suddenly he stops beating on him and starts beating him on the other guy. But it was planned all along. When would you plan for somebody to beat the shit out of you for no reason when if he's on your side, you could just jump the fucking guy to begin with? And that's because it doesn't make any sense for a guy who's going to turn and join someone to have been physically pummeling the person he's going to join just moments before. And this is how smart that Jerry Jarrett, Jerry Lawler, and Jackie Fargo were. The way they set up the fucking angle in 74 where Lawler, ran to the world title and sold all those fucking tickets and they averaged 8,000 people a week and set an attendance record and sold out 7 times in the summer and all that stuff. Lawler's a heel. He set records with Jim White as his partner as a tag team. Everybody knew that Fargo was the king, but that of Memphis, but that the Fargo was the top guy, but that he had something to do with getting Lawler involved in wrestling because they were all around in that time. So anyway, Lawler switches babyface for just 6 weeks. Long enough against the Masked Infernos, right, with their manager J.C. Dykes. Long enough to have a couple weeks of tag team matches with Eddie Marlin as a partner. And then I think he had 1 week with Tojo as a partner. And then finally he asked Jackie Fargo to be his partner to get even with the evil Masked Infernos. And by this point, Fargo agrees to it. And then, of course, they're telling a story that Lawler's idol was Fargo, and Fargo helped get him into business and blah, blah, blah. And they have the match, and Fargo starts, and boom, 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 he does his shit, and then the Infernos fucking get him down, and they beat the shit out of him, and to get the heat on him, and finally he does something. He reaches the corner and he tags Lawler, and Lawler jumps into the ring with his fist clenched and confronts both the Infernos, who back up. And then Lawler turns around and starts kicking a shit out of Fargo. Holy shit. And the people fucking go out of their minds. And the Infernos, the heels, they don't get involved. They just sit up on the top turnbuckles on the fucking far side of the ring and watch Jerry Lawler beat the shit out of Jackie Fargo and break his ribs. And they fucking had to help Fargo out of the fucking ring. And Lawler's a heel again. He didn't even plan it with the Infernos. They didn't know anything about it. It was all a sucker job to get Fargo to partner with him and team up with him so that he could get Fargo. And now that he's put Fargo out, he's the king of Memphis. He's the number one guy. And they start bringing in people for him to defend the Southern title against. And from that point forward, they did nothing but business all year. And when Fargo came back just to be in Ricky Gibson's corner against Lawler, they sold out. Then they sold out the next week. Then they sold out for a tag match. Then they sold out the first time Fargo got him in a single match. But if it had been modern day wrestling, they would have had a normal match for 20 minutes. And Lawler would have been kicking the shit out of the fucking Infernos and helping Jackie out. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, he would have decided to turn on him. And the people would have gone, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. Why couldn't he just got him when he could have get him? Or get him when he could have got him? Or one of those things.
All right.
Yeah.
Dusty and Ole in the cage.
Dusty and Ole in the cage.
Happened right away.
The same thing. It was 6 years later, it still worked. And it worked because he had not helped him to begin with.